Today's video, we're going to be checking out the DC Collectibles DC Comics Essentials. This is Batgirl. Let's figure out how tall Batgirl is. Putting the tape measure next to her, she stands at 6 1/4 inches. Closer, almost to 6 1/2 inches in height. For her accessories, no, she didn't include that display stand. I just used that from another figure to get her to stand properly. She comes with her grapple gun. A couple things wrong with, unfortunately, the grapple gun. One of which, I thought based on the hole on the back of the grapple gun, that the cord could have actually fed through. Similar to Cop's long arm. There's an old reference for you, where the cord actually could pull back and it could retract itself. You also can't tab, or I should say you can't take the end hook here. Way at the very end of that cord is the hook, and it can't detach here. I'm almost tempted to just cut the cord, literally and figuratively, cut the cord and see if I can just attach the hook in place, because I really don't want all this extra unnecessary stuff happening here. This is just too much. The other problem with the grapple hook is that it doesn't sit in her hand very well. Look at the size of the handle. Look at the size of her hand. Try as you may, you can get it into her hand, but it's at such a excruciatingly stretching point of moving the fingers out. I just say to myself, must we? Could we not have had a smaller handle for said grapple gun? This is unnecessarily big. So two things I might fix. Well, I can fix at least the cutting of the cord and attaching the hook. I can't obviously fix the handle unless I sanded that down completely, which I really don't want to start getting into doing. I'm not nearly as much the craftsman when it comes to that kind of stuff. I don't want to gamble damaging the grapple hook. One thing I will not gamble with damaging or changing is this particular figure. It's still one of my all-time favorite Batgirls. I may have reviewed the initial release of this Batgirl, but did not get a chance to review the DC Comics Essentials version of this one. This one I also got in a subscription box. If anybody knows the subscription box and the month in which I got this figure, let me know in the comments section down below. To be awarded to the winner is going to be a virtual gold star that you can add to your board of other virtual stars, perhaps, that I've given you from other victories that you've had in the past. Gold star to the person that can guess that. So having a look at Batgirl here, she is a nice representation of Batgirl. Loving the armored up treatment, which normally doesn't sit well with me. Sometimes it's hit or miss when it comes to the armor, but I feel like it potentially works well here with Batgirl, whereas it's failed with other figures. The head sculpt is beautiful. Not having the original figure, I don't even know what I did with the other figure. I don't know if the head sculpt has changed slightly. That's the thing with a lot of the Essentials figures. For the most part, they've stayed consistent. I think one of the ones that really stood out to me was the Wonder Woman, where they had corrected the Shannon Doherty eyes. Also done a review of that one. One of the ones, I'm grabbing the box here. There's the box right there. I don't see many of these hitting store shelves, so I don't know if stores just didn't buy them, but I'd love to get my hands also on the maintenance skinned Joker. That would be one I would be very tempted to get again. The original figure, disappointed. Left me feeling empty inside. The head sculpt was really not as good as it let off, well, the original production photos look like. So I would be very interested to see what the DC Comics Essentials version of Joker would look like. I don't know if that will ever come to be. I don't know if that figure will ever be released or has been released. I don't think my stores will ever get it. Anyways, so looking at the figure, like I said, the figure's face sculpt is gorgeous. Both the hair sculpt could be a little toned back, a little pulled back on the level of red, but otherwise, I think the hair sculpt and head sculpt are exquisitely done. The blue eyes, as well as the outlining around the eyes, they've also given just a slight shade right above the outlining of the black outlining of the eyes, just so it gives it that almost slight recessed look that you would get with an eyeball. The slight the slight shimmering area of the teeth that are peeking way through their lips, through the lips of Batgirl. Also a nice touch. It kind of adds just a little bit of life to a figure where, you know, you can't always have closed lips all the time. So I'm glad they went that route. The ears are slightly indicated there on the sculpting of the side of the cowl. The ears and cowl itself, very nicely done. Going back to the armor here. Like I said, it could be a deal breaker for, I think this was New 52 Batgirl. A lot of New 52 designs were heavily influenced with armor. Not sure why I'm quoting armor, but armor. Some worked, some of the others don't work. I still didn't like New 52 Batman, but New 52 Batgirl works on many levels here. Very bright yellow off the backdrop of the otherwise very matted gray and matted black. I think really allow for some nice poppage happening here. The gloves are shiny as well as the boots, but what isn't shiny though is the little bat emblem, the little bat pin that's on her cape. The emblem on her chest and the utility belt are going more favoring a matte than a shinier. Normally this would be off-putting for me because I would see the contrast of the two different types of paint, but I find it somehow works here because I know that this is part of her uniform, so to speak, and these are kind of more things that she's putting on after the fact. The cape also is a slightly different shade of yellow. I don't know if you can make it out or not, but it's almost more of a metallic yellow with a little bit of a glimmer to it. So I really like that also as well. The figure has a very feminine build to it, equally so. A very slender cape, which works very well. The density of the plastic is not such that you can't actually have a pliable cape here. So you can actually bend the cape, which is a nice touch. There's the back portion of Batgirl. As detailed as the front, though you may not likely display the figure from the back like so. But everything, again, comes together really nicely here. Posability on Batgirl, her head rotates left and right, as you could probably guess it. As nice as the hair may be, it does restrict movement from, well, basically from the head getting past the shoulder area here. You could fight it. Why would you fight it? Just leave it be. Nature's trying to tell you, just leave it alone. So you can get to about there and there on the figure. The arms hinge outward, no problems whatsoever there. The arms rotate all the way around. She has a swivel point on the bicep area, hinge on the elbow, rotation on the glove. I suppose one could look at it that she forfeits articulation in the wrist in favor of having the glove rotate. It doesn't really bother me all that much. Articulation in the hands I really don't expect, so I'm not going to lose a lot of sleep over that. Legs split out, a real considerable splits here on Batgirl. She does also have a hinge on the knee. It almost looks for a second that it's a double hinge, but don't let those double hinge people try to tell you otherwise. It's actually just a single hinge. And finally, she has a hinge in her... There we go. Thank you, camera. She does also have some nice detailing here also in the boot. And there's the undersides. No sculpting of the sole, but what you do get in a trade-off for that is you have articulation. Well, you don't have articulation, you have peg holes. Not on both, but at the very least, you have a peg hole on one of her feet. The figure doesn't have the greatest of jobs of standing. A lot of times you may find yourself kind of just bending the feet as you're getting the figure to stand. Once that happens, the figure stands perfectly fine. Lady Luck smiled down on this review. The one day I opened up a subscription box, still don't know which one it was, and found DC Comics Essentials Batgirl inside. I knew I had picked this figure up at one point, and as it goes with every other figure in my collection, I probably stored her away or maybe had given her away, and I was sad by that. So the universe had smiled down and said, you know what? I feel the loss in your life. Here she is, the DC Comics Essentials Batgirl, which I'm really glad now to add her back into the collection. She's always been like one of my favorite interpretations of Batgirl. And though the grapple gun, both in the handle and then the way that the rope just sits loosey-goosey, that kind of sucks. There's no real other word to describe it. It sort of sucks, the grapple gun. So a little bit of customization. I might just cut the cord, put the hook into the nozzle of the grapple gun, and just display the figure with that. I think that's really the way that I want to go with it. She does have articulation, which is good, a full range of motion in the legs and in the arms. So even though in final looks here I really didn't get the most creative with displaying her, she does have the means to be displayed probably a little bit more creative than this. The only limitations to posing the figure is unfortunately in the legs, or more importantly in the feet. If you had gotten any bit more of a range of motion in the ankles, then you probably could have displayed her a little bit more dynamic than what we're looking at right here. But still, a lot of nice things happening here with this particular figure. A glorious looking sculpt, beautiful looking face, and exquisite looking color. The DC Comics Essentials Batgirl's a little bit of an older figure, so results may vary if you want to check your local comic book stores for it. But I would say go on the hunt. Maybe not a real in-depth, extensive hunt, but go on a hunt nonetheless and see if you can find this figure for yourself. I think if once you get her in hand, you'll be very happy that you went looking for her. Today we were having a look at the DC Comics Essentials. This was Batgirl. Speaking of hunting, I'm gonna probably check a couple of other comic book stores to see if I can find some more DC Comics Essentials figures. What I really want to find is the Maintenance Skin Face Joker, which I mentioned in this review. I don't even think he ever got released, but he's advertised on the back of the packaging, yet I've still yet to be able to find him in comic book stores, or really for that matter on eBay either. Lots of videos coming your way, guys. Make sure you hit that little subscribe button down below to always be in the know. What you want to be is in the know, so when new videos are hitting this channel, you'll never miss a beat. And like I said, more videos are definitely coming to this channel, so stay tuned for those. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time.